Welcome back, you glorious sons of grit, to the Grit on the Rocks podcast, the podcast where we pour stiff drinks, sling hard truths, and laugh in the face of a world gone softer than a marshmallow in a microwave. I'm your host, David, and today we're digging deep into a topic that we've lightly touched on before, but it just keeps popping up, so we'll keep talking about it. Topic that'll light a fire under your ass and remind you what it means to be a man. No apologies. Owning your edge in a soft world. We've got listener emails stacked up like firewood, some whiskey-drenched wisdom, and a whole lot of raw talk coming your way. So grab your glass, light that cigar if that's what you're into, and let's tear into it like a pack of wolves on a ribeye.
This podcast is a Buenos Dias Media production.
This is the Grit on the Rocks podcast, where raw conversations meet smooth sips. Pull up a chair, pour your favorite drink, puff on your favorite cigar, and join us as we dive into the convos that matter. No scripts, no barriers, just unfiltered truth served straight up. Cheers to the real ones out there. Salud.
All right, so I've been doing some research on us as men and the overcorrection that we've seen in the past decade. I personally think a man should be manly, but balanced in a way where we can transform ourselves according to what is needed. I found a key word, and that's what we'll be focusing on today. And what is that word, you ask? Edge. We need our edge, but we must also know when to switch it up depending on the situation and who is involved. So let's dig into it.
The views and opinions expressed by the host, guest, and/or participants of this show do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Buenos Dias Media LLC, its associates, partners, and show sponsors. The content is intended for entertainment purposes and should not be construed as professional advice. Listener discretion is advised.
Okay, so let's set the stage, boys. We're living in a world where masculinity has been put on trial, convicted, and sentenced to a lifetime of bubble wrap. You've got HR seminars about toxic vibes, social media mobs canceling guys for liking steak rare, and a culture that thinks a man's edge, his grit, his fire, is something to sand down until he's as smooth and harmless as a river pebble. Well, I call bullshit. Owning your edge isn't about being a Neanderthal picking fights at the gas station. It's about standing tall as the man you are, flaws, scars, and all, and refusing to shrink for a world that's forgotten what strength looks like. I mean, picture this. You're at a hardware store. This is kind of, considered a holy ground for any man worth his salt. Guy in front of you is buying one nail. Yes, one. Singular. Cashier asks, "What are you building?" He says, "Oh, just hanging a motivational poster." You damn near drop your 20-pound sledgehammer on his foot to give him a real motivator. That's the soft world we're swimming in, where men frame platitudes about courage instead of swinging hammers and building something real. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was not raised to be handy like that because I was raised by my mother during the crucial teen years. I was raised poor, so I didn't get a car until adulthood. When I became a dad at 20 and had to save to buy my first car so I can take my son to his doctor's appointments and stuff like that. But I was never interested in learning how to fix cars, so I really didn't. I learned a few minor skills on carpentry and construction by picking odd jobs on the island. But to be honest, I never mastered any of it. I'm keeping it 100 here. But one thing I learned from my mother was to problem solve and not live complaining about shit. I learned not to be afraid of things, and if I couldn't do it myself, I would find a way to get it done, but it's getting done. Don't get me started on the coffee shop nonsense, right? A barista tries to sell you a deconstructed latte. And I say, pal, if I wanted art, I'd go to a gallery. Just pour me black coffee or maybe with some milk, but keep the foam to yourself. Edge isn't complicated. It's knowing what you want and not apologizing for it. So let's take a quick break to listen from one of our supporters here, the Apex Gentlemen's Guild. We'll be right back. You are listening to Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias media production.
Looking to connect with like-minded men who share your drive for success and passion for the finer things in life? Welcome to the Apex Gentlemen's Guild, a private members club for men who value ambition, camaraderie, giving back, and personal growth. For a limited time while we're fully remote, you can join the guild for free. Gain access to tons of motivational content, exclusive events, insightful discussions, and a network of high-performance individuals. Don't miss this chance to elevate your social circle. Request to join today at facebook.com/groups/Apex Gentlemen's Guild, or give us a like at facebook.com/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. The Apex Gentlemen's Guild, excellence forged in unity.
All right, Apex Gentlemen's Guild. Okay, so what is the edge we're talking about? It's that fire in your gut that says, I'm here, I'm me, and I'm not bending. It's the guy who fixes his own truck instead of calling AAA. I mean, that won't be me, by the way, just in case. I'm being honest here. But there are many men out there who can certainly identify with this. Edge is the dad that teaches his kid to throw a punch instead of a tantrum. The worker who tells his boss that's a dumb idea and backs it up with results. Keyword here being results. It's not about being loud or mean. It's about being solid, unshakable. You can be at peace. You can be peaceful. You can be a peace bringer, but you're still solid and unshakable. The world's going to push you to soften up, to say sorry for taking up space. Don't. Here's how you hold the line. First, quit apologizing for shit you don't mean. Sorry I'm late. Unless you truly are, don't apologize. If you were wrestling in like a carburetor or just finishing a cigar with your buddy, just say it. Got held up. Let's roll. Me personally, right? I have to be more responsible with that, because that's just how I operate. I can't do the whole getting late to the places and expecting, just wasting people's time. I respect too much people's time for that. And I'm the type that I feel that if I'm on time, I'm late. So that's not me. I don't identify personally with this one, but there's people who do. Truth over fluff, right? Second, lean into hard things. Lift weights until your hands bleed. Chop wood until your shoulders ache. Tell someone no when they expect yes. Hard builds edge. Easy erodes it. Third, know your worth. I knew a guy that he was a steel worker. Hands like leather, voice like gravel. Never said sorry for being rough around the edges because he knew his value. He built bridges, literal and figurative. You've got value too, so own it. And fourth, laugh at the nonsense. When the world clutches its pearls because you cracked a beer at 10 a.m. or told a dirty joke, grin and keep going. They're mad because they're jealous. All right, so let me tell you quickly about Mike. He's Exhibit A. Mike is 6'4", beard like a Viking warlord, hands that could crush a walnut without blinking. He welds for a living, 12-hour shifts in a shop hotter than Satan's sauna. One time he punched a hole in his garage wall, not out of rage, but because he said, I need to feel something real. That's edge in its rawest form. Last month, his shop HR lady, a woman who probably thinks grit is a type of salad, tried to drag him to a sensitivity seminar. Mike looked at her dead in the eye and said, I'm sensitive to sparks, steel, and my paycheck. That's my seminar. She blinked. He walked away, and guess what? he still has his job. Why? Because edge isn't just attitude. It's competence with a backbone. Mike welds hold up skyscrapers. No one's firing that. Now, I gotta tell you, a key word here is competence, and competence is key. You can't have attitude, claim you have edge, and be mediocre. This applies to everything in life. You can't have big alpha energy in a relationship and bring nothing to the table. Some women will be willing to look the other way if you're edgy in certain things and competitive and somewhat of a Neanderthal sometimes. But if you're also competent as a husband or boyfriend, if you take care of business in the bedroom, but also take care of business on the daily shit like finances, home chores, your kids, and being the partner they need, then you might get away with the other things that come with that as your personality, right? So you can be edgy, but you have to be competent. So let's take a quick break to do some whiskey bar wisdom.
Whiskey bar wisdom.
All right, there's nothing magical about it. Here, drink this. Tell me what's on your mind. Come on.
Whiskey bar wisdom. You provide the stories, we provide the opinions, unprofessional advice and the laughter. Great on the Rocks podcast.
All right, so it's time for us to slide into some whiskey bar wisdom, where you send us your stories or questions, and I pour out answers smoother than a 12-year-old bourbon kissed by an oak barrel. First message, this message comes to us from Travis in Boise, Idaho, and it's a doozy. Hey, Grit on the Rocks. David, been loving the show since day one. It's like a shot of grit straight to the veins. I'm 32, married 3 years, and my wife's on this kick where she wants me to open up about my feelings. She dragged me to couples therapy with this shrink who looks like he braided his man bun with hemp and good intentions. I'd rather chew on gravel than spill my guts to this guy while he nods like a bobblehead. She says it'll bring us closer, but I feel like I'm auditioning for a damn rom-com. How do I stay me without turning into some weepy Hallmark card she can brag about to her book club? All right, Travis, seems like you're in the trenches, and I salute you for holding the line. First off, your wife's not wrong. Connections are good. But this therapy circus with Captain Man Bun here, right, that's a buzzsaw to your edge. Here's the pour. You don't have to morph into a feelings fairy to keep her happy. I personally believe in communication, talking things out with your spouse in an unfiltered way. I'm not saying therapy doesn't work, but therapy at the core is communicating openly with one another. Being able to say what you feel, but also listen with intent and not get defensive. Just gotta listen to each other even if you don't agree. You say your piece. You gotta be willing to meet each other halfway. Communication does not make you less of a man, and it doesn't make you lose your edge. Now, if you're one of those who just doesn't have the emotional intelligence to talk things out, then truth be told is that therapy might be your only lifeline. Therapy does work for some. I mean, I get it. My friend went and he cried about his childhood dog, and now he's happier than a pig in mud. But if it's not your gear, don't force the shift. Tell her straight, I'm not wired for this, but I'll prove I'm here in my way. I mean, honestly, sometimes words are optional in some relationships. There's relationships of older people that they just grunt at each other and they know exactly what they're telling each other. You got your own language, use it. Maybe compromise. Give her 5 minutes of deep talk over beers or wine or whatever you want to drink. Then just call it quits. Stay you, Travis. Gravel is for roads, not your throat. Salute. Continuing the conversation about edge, right? It isn't a free pass to be a jackass. Punching walls or telling your wife her cooking sucks isn't grit. It's being a dick. Balance matters. Right? Noah sent us a message and he says that during a rough patch I was having with my wife, she roped me into trying yoga. I'm there in the driveway, grunting through a downward dog, looking like a bear doing ballet. She says, "See, it's coming." I said, "Babe, I'll stretch when I'm dead. Give me a beer and we'll call it even." She laughed, I laughed, and we didn't need a therapy session to sort it out. So I tell you, edge is knowing your limits and owning them with a wink. It's not about fighting every battle, it's about picking the ones worth winning. So here's some homework to you gents out there. Find one moment where the world wants you to shrink. Some nag telling you to watch your tone, some rule begging you to bend, and stand your ground, not with fists, but with that quiet, steely, this is me vibe. Then write in and tell me how it felt. We'll crack open your messages on a Barstool banter. Which, speaking of which, let's hit the bar for some wisdom first and let's do some Barstool banter.
Barstool Banter, brought to you by Buenos Dias Media, where great stories come to life. Welcome to Barstool Banter, the segment where your wildest, funniest, and most unforgettable stories take center stage. Whether it's that crazy night out with the guys, a hilarious encounter at the bar, a day out with the family, or an unforgettable moment with friends, we want to hear it all. Each week, we dive into your emails, share the best stories, and pick our favorite one, and who knows, maybe even win a prize. So grab a drink, light it up, pull up a stool, and let's get into some Barstool banter.
All right. Let's belly up to the Barstool banter, where you fine bastards send us your tales, gripes, and wild takes, and we hash it out like we're 3 whiskeys deep and spoiling for a laugh. So I got 3 hefty emails here, and let's rip the lid off. First off, we have Jake from Tulsa. Hey, Grit on the Rocks. Big fan. So, David, I'm a mechanic, 28, and my shop's my kingdom. Grease steel, the whole deal. Last week, my boss hauled me into his office and said I need to tone down my attitude because I told a coworker his idea for rerouting the exhaust system was dumber than a bag of hammers. The guy's a newbie, fresh out of trade school, and his plan would have torched half the engine. Boss says, I hurt his feelings, and now I'm on thin ice. I'm not here to babysit. How do I keep my edge without losing my paycheck? All right, Jake. Truth be told, you're not paid to wipe tears. If you're good at what you do and the idea seems dumb from a newbie, then it probably was. Not that you shouldn't listen to suggestions from newbies, because that would be you entering the world of being pig-headed and stubborn. But here's the fix. Keep the edge. Sharpen the blade. Next time, lean in with a smirk and say, that's an idea that's so bold it might need its own fire extinguisher. Let's try this instead. Same grit, less shrapnel. Boss wants harmony, but you're there to build engines, not egos. Show them your edge works. Fix something twice as fast as the crybaby and let the results shut the whining. You're a king, not a babysitter. Stay greasy, Jake. So again, we go back to competence, right? Results have to speak. You can't carry yourself with all this attitude and all this ego and all this confidence and be mediocre at what you're doing. That just doesn't work, right? Anyway, next we have Carlos from Phoenix, says David. Loyal listener here. My buddy is turning into someone I don't recognize. I need your take. We're both 35, single, and usually spend weekends wrenching on bikes or hitting the bar. Last month, his new girlfriend flipped out because he forgot her cat's birthday. Yes, the cat's. He apologized, bought a little pet cake, and threw a party for it while I sat there dumbfounded. I laughed so hard I spilled my IPA all over my boots, and he got pissed at me. Now, he's dodging me. Is it just me, or are we doomed as a species if dudes are groveling to felines? Wow. So Carlos, you stumbled into a soft world nightmare, right? I'm just cracking up with you here. A cat's birthday party with cake. Yeah, that's not a man. That's a hostage in a rom-com subplot. Your buddy's been neutered by proxy, and the IPA spill was the universe saluting your sanity. Doom's knocking if men start bowing to Whiskers, right? To Whiskers' big day instead of telling the girlfriend, cats don't care and neither do I. Stage an intervention. Drag him to the garage, hand him a wrench, and say, this is your party now. If he picks the cat over you, mourn the loss, and dude, you gotta find a new wingman. I mean, I get it. Being empathetic to your girlfriend's feelings, but to flip out on me for something so silly, that's where I draw the line, and maybe the nasty me might make an appearance. And the last one we have here is from Pete from Fargo. It's my Wednesday night ritual with a cigar and a porter. Here's my deal. I've got this neighbor, mid-40s, who fires up his leaf blower every damn morning at 6 a.m. Sounds like a dying goose strapped to a jet engine. Last Saturday, I had enough, walked over in my robe, coffee in hand, and told him it's the most obnoxious thing since reality TV. He got all huffy and said that I'm rude and hasn't spoken to me since. Wife says I should smooth it over, but I'm tempted to leave a note saying his goose impression's getting better. What's the move? So Pete, the leaf blower at 6 a.m. can be considered a war crime, and you're the neighborhood unsung hero for calling it out. For some, they might think that smoothing it over, it's what the soft world wants, but I tend to look at things in the long run, right? And as your neighbor, as long as you own that house, right? If you own the house, if it's renting, it's a different story. But if you own that house, you don't know how long you're going to have this neighbor. So I would try to establish a conversation and explain what bothers me and just try to reach a common ground. If he stays salty, just toss him a beer over the fence and, as a peace offering, gritty style. Trust me, wife will get over it when he shuts up. You're a legend. Keep that cigar lit, Pete. All right, gents, so that's the grit for today. Remember that owning your edge in a soft world ain't about being a loudmouth or a bully. It's about being the man you were forged to be. Unapologetic and unbreakable. The world's going to try to sand you down, hand you a soy latte, and tell you to cry it out in a pool full of men. Just laugh, lift something heavy, and keep walking. Your edge is your compass. Trust it. So people, keep those emails pouring in. Hit us at gritontheRocks@gmail.com or go to gritontheRocks.com. Scroll down to our Contact Us section and send us your messages. So the next episode, right, we'll be back with more fire, so stay tuned. Remember to always keep your spirits high, your cigars lit, your glasses full, and your conversations meaningful. Till next time, this is Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias Media production. Cheers.
Grit on the rocks tonight, men with hearts like iron bars, tackling life's endless fight, scars becoming stars, diving deep into the void, working streams like candy, never forget. Challenges rise like mountains tall. Through the haze we crawl alone. Echoes in the empty hall. Our struggles carved in stone.